So you do this, they're running,
Yes.
they breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the nose, and then hold the nose while they
Yes.
continue running.
Yes, yes.
And how long do they hold it for?
Okay, so we'll start them off, say, walking. So they're walking, and I have them take a normal breath in through the nose, normal breath out, pinch the nose, hold the nose. And then as the air hunger progresses, I have them go faster. So we go from a walk, fast walk, jog, run, sprint, and keep going until the intensity gets pretty strong. You feel your breathing muscles contracting, you feel a strong air hunger, you have your pulse oximetry on, and at the end of it then, when the air hunger gets fairly strong, let go, but minimize your breathing for 6 breaths. Now, the reason that I have the minimal breathing for 6 breaths is because I want to prolong the hypoxic and hypercapnic response. And then after about 16 to 20 seconds, you see the change in your pulse oximetry. So
when I breathe in, I just go small.
You go small breaths. I
want to go.
You do.
And of course, I can't breathe through my mouth.
That.
I can't
Absolutely.
ever,
mouth breathing is
the rest of my life.
Mouth is for eating, for drinking, and for speaking. And it's absolutely coming in through the nose. And we haven't even discussed what happens when you do physical exercise breathing through the nose. That's another story. But in terms of the disturbance to the homeostasis, I'll give you an example. There was a paper published 2018 by a French researcher called Wurens, and he got 35 professional rugby union athletes from Australia during competitive season. These are at the top of their game. He trained them for 4 weeks and did the same exercise as what we're doing. Repeated sprintability, normal breath in, out, pinch your nose, and sprint for 40 meters with your breath held. 30-second recovery, you do it again. 30-second recovery, you do it again. You do 7 reps twice a week, and then he measured their repeated sprintability 4 weeks later. It had increased from 9 to 14.7. Now, normally if you're working with professional athletes, if you can get a fraction of a percent, a 1%, it's a huge gain. Here, to increase from 9 to 14.7. And repeated sprintability is a very good performance indicator for team sports. Yeah. Any team sports, soccer, basketball, ice hockey, American football, rugby, Gaelic football, curling. And it measures the athlete's ability to do an all-out effort, followed by a very brief recovery before they can do an all-out effort again. Okay. And what's more, high-intensity interval training was dropped in that session. And the control group who were doing normal training, no change. So I think by exploring the power of the breath, even in a performance, looking at what you can do when you do breath holding to force the body to make adaptations. The Wim Hof technique, I have to say, he's really done a great job putting it out there.
Because it made people aware of breath.
Yes, yes.
So that helped you.
It's, of course,
right.
Absolutely. And I'm thankful for that. And we do have some similarities with the Wim Hof technique. The other aspect that I always want to do is I want to address functional breathing patterns. We challenge the body, we force adaptations, we're simulating an altitude of about 4,000 to 5,000 meters high. We can do it very easily and we do it safely. But it's not just about doing the extreme breath holding. We also want to get everyday breathing good as well.
Okay, that makes sense. And yeah, I love Wim stuff and I practiced it and I do it usually every weekend after I jump into a cold pond. I don't do it in the water, but yeah, it does something. That stressor, it gets me in a state of mind. But now it's nice to know that I'm not hyperoxygenated, because actually that's what I used to tell people and that was wrong. And now I understand what's going on. And now that makes sense that people have passed out and that kind of thing.
Well, we haven't fully, that thing about the hyperoxygenation, you will be increasing the pressure of oxygen dissolved in the blood.
Sure.
And that will release, because of the fusion, you will release oxygen to the cells. But you've got a net here that hemoglobin is holding onto oxygen so strongly. And even during the breath holding, it doesn't recover. So you really have a major drop of oxygen delivery here, and you will have some increase of oxygen delivery here.
Okay.
So that's what it's...
No, that makes sense. And, these athletes, these rugby players, they would do the 40-meter sprint, and then what would they do? What were they holding their breath?
Yeah, so during the 40-meter sprint, so they take
hold the breath.
Normal breath in, normal breath out, pinch the nose.
Right.
Sprint for 40 meters.
With their nose pinched.
With their nose pinched.
Right.
And then resume normal breathing, and for 30 seconds have normal breathing. And we even did it at the weekend. And, the last 5 seconds I count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, normal breath in, normal breath out, pinch, hold, sprint.
Right, okay. And then you do as many as you can do to where you can't do it anymore.
No.
Well, okay.
The
But that's what the
measurement
rugby guys were doing. They were doing 9 and then they got to 14, right?
Yeah, but that was in the test.
Okay.
So they measured them pre-trial, and the maximum number of sprints that they could do before exhaustion was 9.
Right, okay.
4 weeks later, the maximum number of sprints they could do before exhaustion was 14.7.
Right, okay.
But in the actual set itself, when I'm working with athletes, I don't follow the exact protocol of the paper. It's very taxing.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is I start the guys off 5 repetitions, and we do it every second day. And a week later, we do 6 repetitions per set every second day. And a week later, 7 reps. And a week later, 8 reps. So we do the same amount of reps, but I've split it up because I was working with guys and I was looking at their blood oxygen saturation and they were dropping down to 67%. And I said, oh my God, like these guys are going blue.
Because they're so competitive.
So I said, I'll have to go a bit easier. So I've held it back a little bit because I would sooner condition the body incrementally over time as opposed to just get an individual and just pushing through the loops. I want to push guys through the loops, but I want to do it that's challenging, but not to the point of extremity.